Welcome to Ryan Watches a Movie. My name is Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
We're also joined by Ryan Holes. Hey, Ryan. If this is your first time listening, Kevin and I are challenging ourselves to find movies that Ryan likes in the hopes that we will reach a coveted 10 out of 10. You can join in on the conversation by sending your movie suggestions for Ryan to podcast@filmpulse.net or sending me a DM on Twitter @filmpulsenet. If you like the show, or even if you don't, please consider checking out the Frederick's Ataxia Research Alliance website at curefa.org and consider a donation. Ryan, what movie do we have you watch this week?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Mad Max Fury Road. This came out in 2015. I have a synopsis here. In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a woman rebels against a tyrannical ruler in search for her homeland with the aid of a group of female prisoners, a psychotic worshiper, and a drifter named Max. Now, you said that you just wanted to be surprised this week. You didn't have anything specific in mind. My first question is, have you seen this before?
No.
No.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I looked through your letterbox list, and I'm hoping that you're keeping that up to date. And I didn't see it on your letterbox list, so I was like, I was pretty sure that you were keeping it up to date. Anyway, this is written and directed by George Miller. Tell us a little bit about Mad Max Fury Road.
Well, like you said, there's a prisoner named Max, and I forget her name, but she wants to make the journey back to her homeland, where she was taken as a child. And there's also a group of women who are all the made bad guys, women prisoners, and they want to get away from him and start a new life. So it turns out where they don't, and there's also a guy who works for the made bad guy, but he kind of has a change of heart about halfway through and joins the other good guys. That's basically, I mean, there's really, really long car chases. There's an epic ending. And like a Star Wars ending.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Like it's like 45 minutes long. And to be honest, that's the point where I actually got into this.
Wow.
Beforehand, I wasn't really into it.
What?
The women are, as they're escaping and going to this other homeland, they're also stealing a big truckload of water. So everyone comes after them, including the main bad guy, a whole other tribe, I guess you would call them. And they're all after these people. And in the end, they went out and they killed the Maybach guy and they returned to his land and showed them his chopped off head and now they're the rulers and everyone lives happily ever after. Except the people who die.
Except the people who die. So you have Tom Hardy in this as Max Rockatansky. You have Charlize Theron as Furiosa, who was the lead, the female lead that you had mentioned. Nux is played by Nicholas Hoult. That's the guy he's a bad guy that turned good. Immortan Joe, played by Hugh Keays-Byrne. He's the main bad guy. And then you have a lot of other people in there too, including like Zoe Kravitz and Riley Keough.
Oh yeah, the main bad guy. I thought my Angelina last time when I was watching this. I nicknamed him Bane.
Vane. Bane?
Bane, because he sounds like Bane.
Yeah, he's got the mask thing on. All right, so what did you think of Mad Max Fury Road?
Well, like I said at the beginning, I was confused. And I was actually debating turning it off.
Oh,
What?
wow.
Whoa.
And then the ending saved everything. The ending is like a totally different movie.
Well, you keep talking about this ending, and I think you mentioned that you saw it as like 45 minutes long. When exactly, like, what was the turning point for you? When did this become where you kind of like sat up in your seat and got invested in this movie?
When when the main guy and the other bad guys started going after them, right at the beginning of that long chase scene.
All right, so like the final like showdown when they catch up to them and have that big like battle.
That I really like that scene. I mean, I wasn't into the rest of it, but I really like that. It wasn't like a bunch of fairy tale nonsense. Like,
Uh, that is true. Fury Road is not a bunch of fairy tale nonsense. I will
It's just
agree with that.
it's just odd because when you talk about the ending, quote unquote, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I just watched this like somewhat recently. Like a lot of that ending is like the whole movie where it's just
Yeah.
it's just one car chase.
It's hard to give a distinction to the ending because this movie is just largely action. Like for the giant chunks of it are just straight up action, almost nonstop.
there was, to me, it was some dumb stuff in the beginning. And then I think it was three car chases.
Okay. What did you think of like the look? What did you think of? Let's start with that. What did you think of the look?
There were a lot of visual action. I thought about that when I was watching it. There were quite a few visuals I liked.
Yeah.
And like I like how like when they met those old ladies in the middle of the desert, they I just like the scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Like how it didn't look like a normal movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful movie. The color grading in this movie is what really makes it pop. Where you have these like contrasting colors. You have these bright yellows and bright blues.
I should also mention that I've seen Mad Max 1.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah. I mean, there's some things in it that you could enjoy. Like Miller did include some like kind of fan servicey things here and there, but nothing that would detract from like the overall plot. I mean, the character of Max, like it's kind of what happens in the previous movies is pretty irrelevant. Like it has
Yeah.
nothing to do
It's
with
pretty much a standalone.
stuff. Mm-hmm.
Like
What do you
the beginning part where he gets the flashbacks from a little kid. What were they all about?
They were just that. I mean, if I remember correctly, the first one takes place after that too, or maybe it happens at the very beginning of the first one. But
Yeah, it's just know that he's troubled.
yeah, he lost his family.
He's got some trauma that he's working
He's a
through.
nomad.
And now he's thrust into this situation where he's a blood bank.
He's a really tough. They're all tough as hell. Even the 6 women.
This is sex
they're
women.
all like hard asses. I like all them. Because they didn't like bitch and they just did what they had to do.
Just take
Yeah.
care of business. No
Yeah.
nonsense. What do you think
What
of
did
the
you think of-
vehicles and the stunts?
Yeah, that was my next question.
You know,
The vehicles looked really, really cool, actually.
yeah, you fucking did. That's the thing that I thought that you would just like, you would be ecstatic about. You would just love the shit out of this movie because of all the car chases and the crazy stunts.
I like how the cars, like, the best of them looked, they were like old bodies,
Yeah.
but they were like monster trucks.
Yeah, and they built all those cars for real. Like they made those like in real life.
Yeah, they tore the shit out of that desert. They ruined that desert, by the way.
Yeah, but it'll fix itself. It's a desert.
I don't know about that, but and again, it's like I don't know if I'm missing something or if I'm misremembering, but a lot of the stuff that you're saying that you like, am I wrong, Adam? But isn't this movie like 98% just car chase?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't remember too many scenes that weren't, except for maybe the scene when they stop and get out for like a minute. But
The very beginning confused me. Like
So
where he has captured.
I got
okay.
you. So you have a short tolerance for nonsense. Because you like right off the bat, you're like, I don't understand these flashbacks. I don't understand this world. I'm shutting it down.
But then you didn't need to understand that part.
yeah, I mean that for me that was one of the most endearing qualities of this movie is that they didn't feel the need to explain everything. You know,
Yeah.
it's just this is a world. This is a lived-in world that doesn't need explaining. Like it is what it is. Like it's just this crazy post-apocalyptic world, and there's no need to spell everything out.
Well, plus it gets really, really simple in that they hop in their cars and they want to get away from where they were and go somewhere else. And all these other people don't want that to happen. And that's the movie.
It's funny. That's a characteristic in a lot of movies that I really like. Like John Wick is another example of this, where it's this movie that has a very simple premise, but there's so much more to the world that it takes place in that it compels you to, want to watch more and spend more time in this world.
At the beginning, I found myself not caring. And by then, I felt myself wanting to know what happens next.
There you go.
Okay.
Success, I think, is what they call that.
Yeah.
So at first you didn't care, but then you did care.
Correct.
What did you think of all like the crazy camera work and the stunts and stuff in it?
Or how much? Because my eyes are failing me. How much of it was green screen?
None.
None.
Really?
They added stuff in the backgrounds, like the storm scene, for instance. Obviously that was CG. Of course, they still shot it outside, like in the desert, but they obviously added the CG to accentuate it. There's videos online of like what they shot versus like what it looks like, after post-production and after they like color graded it. And
yeah, but some of the stunts that they do, like when they have those two cars on either side where they're doing the swinging in, like
they did that.
Fucking nuts. Yeah, they like legit just did that out in the middle of the desert.
That is pretty crazy.
And like all the crashes and stuff, like they really crashed all of those cars and just destroyed them. And it's insane when you watch this movie because the car chases, and you look at any trailer or stills or anything, and I'm sure that most of the people listening to this have already seen this movie. Like during these chases, there's so many moving parts. It's not just, most car chases are like one or two. There's like max 3 cars involved. This has like dozens, and there's like motorcycles and giant trucks and everything else. And there's just so many moving pieces that it's incredible to me that everyone somehow came out of this. Yeah, I mean, the fact that everyone came out of this shoot unscathed is pretty incredible. And when you look at like the behind the scenes stuff with it, it was just wild how they shot.
I really like the, I don't know what they call them, puffer fish cars. The cars that have the
The
spikes.
spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those too. Yeah, and then of course you had the guitar guy, who's just his only purpose was just to play the guitar, play the flaming guitar.
Was he just to let them know where every action was?
I think he was just there to amp everybody up. I think he was like the hype man.
I thought it was like signaling them.
I don't think so.
No, it's just it's that wardrobe. Get
Yep.
going. You gotta have a soundtrack. You're out in the desert doing some crazy shit. Gotta have a bunch of drums and a guy on a bungee cord playing some guitar. For whatever fucking reason. Why not?
Now, Ryan, they are working on a new one, and it's going to be all about Furiosa, Charlize Theron's character. Are you excited?
Yeah,
Excited about
that
that?
girl's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's called Mad Max: The Wasteland.
Oh boy.
That's a working title.
Will she be like the our queen?
No, I don't think so.
Head lady in George.
I mean, that's how this one ended, but I don't think so. I think this is going to be a prequel. So it's going to take place before the events of Fury Road. I would recommend, Ryan, checking out the other Mad Max movies, specifically Mad Max 2.
Yeah, tell me what. That's a little song.
Oh, you saw Mad Max 2.
You gotta tell me what you say a long time ago.
Oh, that's right. We did.
Oh wow. Yeah.
When Fury Road was coming out, we had him watch Mad Max 2,
That's
The
right.
Road Warrior. And I totally
Okay.
forgot about that. Oh my God. What did you, just out of curiosity, I'm going to look this up real quick.
I think I'm gonna say 6.
I don't remember what you scored it. I want to look this up real quick.
I can't
Nice.
remember it.
We had you watch it in May of 2015. You gave it a 4 out of 10,
Oh, wow.
and your quote was "not for me."
He's so civil about it. Not for me. Not my cup of tea. Sorry.
If I remember correctly, it was a different kind of man.
Yeah.
It was, but it wasn't.
Like it wasn't a huge blockbuster.
No.
No, it wasn't a huge blockbuster. That's for sure. All right, Ryan. Any final thoughts before we give you your drum roll on this?
Give it time.
Give it time.
You're still watching it.
So if you're not getting it, if you're not into it early on, just stick with it.
Stick with it.
Big
Just get
payoff.
the initial 5 minutes. Just get over that hump. You'll be all right.
All right, Ryan. What do you give Mad Max Fury Road?
8.
8 out of 10. Oh man,
I'm telling you, the ending.
ending did it all.
Well,
Everything hinges on that ending.
When I first started, I was gonna give it like a 5.
Well,
Wow.
you said that you were going to turn it off. I mean that's like that's major.
Yeah. But I decided to give it 10.
Well, I'm glad you did.
I'm glad you did too, and I'm glad that it worked out for you in the end.
So much.
Yeah, because I would have been heartbroken if you gave 5. I think I probably would have quit this show.
I don't know what I would have done, honestly. Like we would have had to just throw away the spreadsheet, and I don't know what. I can't even wrap my head around anyone who doesn't like this movie. I can't figure it out.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Just for reference, I gave this a 10 out of 10.
I'm
And
sure you did.
Ke-
Yeah.
Kevin, I think you might have given it a 10 out of 10 too.
I wouldn't be surprised if I did.
I think you did. I'm pretty sure you did give it a 10 out of 10.
I would give that to it now. If I didn't back then, I do now.
I want to see the black and white version.
Yes.
They did release the black and white version, and I really want it's been enough time, because I remember like when it came out in theaters, obviously I saw it in the theater, and then like when it came out on digital, I watched it again, and I've seen it on TV since then. But it's been a good while since I've revisited this, and I think enough time has passed that it'll be fresh enough that I can watch the black and white version. And I don't know. I mean, I loved the color saturation in it so much that I don't know. Ryan, what are you in the mood for next week?
Comedy.
Going comedy. All right.
All right. Write it down.
Yeah. All right. We'll give you a comedy for next week. Any final thoughts before we close it out this week?
No.
Okay. There you have it. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your picks for Ryan to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet, @filmpulsekevin, and @mylegsdon'twork. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing the podcast on your platform of choice. And be sure to visit curefa.org. For Kevin Rakestraw and Ryan Holes, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.
See you later.